Peace, world. What up, though? Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment clip. I'm the man here that keeps it all cooking wood. Entertainment. I started rewatching The Wire. I didn't realize it was 2002 was the first season. I believe they get 5 seasons. Might be showing my weakness there, whether it's 5 or 6. I thought it was 5. Anyway, I was kind of figuring out, kind of what the theme would be in doing these little check-ins. Like I said, I don't see a lot of sense in doing, and there's many more in-depth videos out there on YouTube. So I don't really want to compete with nobody. I'm just bumping my gums, I guess. But I'm at like the 10th episode. I think I checked in last time after the 3rd or 4th episode. The one dope thing that's really going. Let me be honest, man. Looking at it now, there are some weaknesses in the Wire's game. Omar's character is very cinematic, very Hollywood-ish. For him to walk up to the stash house and turn his back, to the apartment and tell the dudes inside to throw it out. Very Hollywoodish. A couple of things with Omar are just very Hollywoodish, and easily fable, if you will. The other thing is, you see some of the rawness in the camera crew, in shooting, some moments here and there that aren't all that sharp or crisp. Some weird shots here and there, some little things that seem like they don't belong. Also, I'm noticing, there's a lot of humor that goes on in The Office. Maybe, and I've mentioned in comparison to the humor in The Wire. In Power, with Tommy's Primeras, I think is what he's calling them. But there's some humor, in the Wire but I think a lot of it is rather natural. These are police guys, these are police officers and detectives and whatnot. You're gonna get some horseplay, so on and so forth. So there are some, but like I said, a lot of it seems a lot more natural. So to this point, some of the dope stuff that's developing is. They have one to look at all the guys on here that are off doing bigger and better stuff. One being obviously Wallace and Michael B. Jordan. But he has that scene in there where I thought it was a little girl. I thought he called her Sarah. I could be wrong. But she comes in and asks for help with the homework and says, Michael B. Jordan or Wallace reads through it really quickly, shows you that he can read pretty good, and he's a brighter guy. Right now, he's going through the after effects of directly being the reason for why the Brandon cat got killed, Omar's love interest. And so he's backed away from the game and is getting high himself and just hiding out. He just can't live with what happened as a result of him trying to impress the big dogs in, Avon and Stringer. The top floor. So he reads quickly through this word problem, and says, just figure it out, and you can't figure this out in your head. And then Poop comes in, encouraging him to get back to work, to show up for work. And the kid says something else. So then Wallace gives her an example of selling drugs and messing up the count, blah blah blah, and who picks you up? They give you this to sell, you sell it, you get re-up, blah blah blah, and the kid says 15, I think, and Wallace is like, I just gave you all of that, and you could do it in your head, but you can't figure out that problem, and the little girl says, you mess up the count, they F you up, so. Showing, it needs to be some motivation there in the people and they live in this community and how they learn, how they would approach learning, and kind of the struggle to probably get these kids to try to apply themselves. So I thought that was a dope scene. And then, it kind of foreshadows the fact that Wallace could go on to, he's talking about returning to high school. And he actually goes out, he goes out and talks to D'Angelo, which that's the one dope parallel here between the streets or the game and the police force is Daniels and D'Angelo are basically at the same level in their respective hierarchies. And D'Angelo has been hiding the weaknesses that he has in his crew after Stringer told him how to figure out who was snitching or something that was going on funny in his shop. And D'Angelo does what he says and finds out who is stealing. And I think it's Cassandra. And he hides that. And he hides some other things. He's covering for Wallace while he's gone for a couple of weeks. After Wallace has become employee of the month and pointing out Brandon. So conversely, Daniels, he has the older drunk guy who comes to work drunk. He tells him basically how to, address his problem since he doesn't want to fit in. He takes he goes through it several different ways with McNulty, but never takes real action against him, disciplinary action against him. Daniels said the money was missing when Herc and Carr brought in the stacks. And, he pointed out it just needs to be returned. He walked Prez Belusky or whatever his name is, Prez. He walks him through what to say when he damages the kid's eye. Just constantly he's taking up for the people in his unit. And so that's the major parallel that we see is D'Angelo. And then, D'Angelo has been, certain things have not happened in his favor. He was demoted down to the pit when he came home. And Daniels has been, they've messed with his investigation and told him how to run it. And, they made him give that money back to Day for Senator Clay Davis. So like I said, that's the one thing that's very dope if you're paying attention. And then also, the second thing, so I can get on off of here, is the time that they've taken to develop the relationship between Bodie and Carver and Hurt. They talk to each other at the basketball game. And then Carver, even when Bodie says that the East Side is winning, Carver is like, yeah, my guys, So it's some different things going on that are pretty slick. And then obviously, in my opinion, this investigation, the way that it's coming together, and like I said, some people are saying that they have said that it's boring, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't think I've really seen a better investigation be explained and be developed. And usually crooks and criminals, in these shows, they rarely, it's like they have some sophistication to them, but when the writers need to get rid of them, they just make them do the dumbest stuff possible and then they get rid of them. And these guys right here, the Barksdale crew, is pretty formidable in terms of them kind of piecing together what the hell is all going on here. So, like I said, that kind of stuff is unfolding. The pushback from the upper echelon of the police force, and Daniels being forced to fight. One, this is a career-making case. Two, it's the right thing to do. And he's got to answer to his troops that are doing all of the work. And then lastly, so I can get on off of here, keep this by about 10 minutes. We're also learning quite a bit about Bubs, in the perspective from the perspective of the people who drugs hurt, whose lives get irreparably altered, the end users. And he's trying to stay clean right now. And that's pretty much that. So, like I said, man, I just don't know another show that's taking the time to do all of this stuff and to storytell from this many different angles, and to take the time. Herc and Carver are taking the sergeant's test. Rawls is interfering and doing different things. The deputy ops cat is doing different things. The family situations, very, very multi-layered show. So that's kind of my check-in on The Wire. Pay me no mind. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. One.